Coming out of Washington, President Trump and Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell standing side by side, declaring that they are closer than ever. McConnell even sounding very Trump-esque.
You have to nominate people who can actually win, because winners make policy and losers go home.
Okay, well, is this new bromance going to last, and what does that mean for the agenda? Joining us now is senior policy analyst at the Independent Women's Forum, Patrice Lee Onwuka. Patrice, good morning.
Good morning.
I want to first start with part of that soundbite that we played, or what you heard from him. Basically, he is flying in the face of what Steve Bannon is up to right now, which is challenging establishment candidates in states that are coming up in the midterms. You know, McConnell really fought back against that yesterday, saying, look, this is not going to work. This Bannon versus McConnell fight may be the next debate we're going to see.
Well, I think it's interesting. McConnell's kind of calling out this wedge that Bannon is trying to wedge between him and the president. And it is important that, the Senate does continue to maintain its majority if anything is going to get passed. Tax reform, health care repeal. I mean, there are lots of agenda items. We haven't even started thinking about what transportation bill would look like. So it is important that the House and the Senate is able to maintain their majorities. And that's what I think he's trying to underscore.
Well, what do you think? I mean, do you think that the Republicans are in trouble? How big of a force is Steve Bannon? Because frankly, a lot of Republicans, a lot of voters in the party are frustrated with McConnell. In fact, let me show you this tweet here that came in from Donald Trump back in August. I mean, this new bromance is pretty interesting, Patrice, because back in August, he said August 24th, Donald Trump tweeted, "The only problem I have with Mitch McConnell is that after hearing repeal and replace for 7 years, he failed. That should never have happened." I mean, how long is this, like I said, bromance, I'm calling it that, going to last?
I actually wouldn't call it a bromance. I would call it reluctant partners. These are two people who need each other right now. I mean, the president needs McConnell to kind of wrangle all these senators back in line to pass, the budget, to pass tax reform, to pass some pretty key agenda items. But McConnell also needs President Trump to speak to Steve Bannon and try to rein back in that incumbent challenger rhetoric and language. So they're working together, and I don't want to undermine or underestimate how important it is that they do work together and that they present a united front. If they have disagreements, they should probably do that behind the scenes.
Okay, well, that really hasn't been the characteristics of this administration or Steve Bannon, and now you're seeing more. But it's interesting, though, because there was this letter that was written to McConnell that by a lot of conservative groups saying, look, you are the swamp, saying you have shown us with your failure to do anything when it comes to health care. Now tax reform he's maybe pushing it off till next year. If you listen to some of the language that McConnell's using, he's trying to kind of temper expectations. That could be a problem in the midterms for McConnell and McConnell-backed candidates, in particular when you look at what Bannon did with Roy Moore.
Yeah, I do think so. And when we look at 2018, there's going to be a pretty tight timeline or schedule to be able to get anything done. When we've considered that we've had the past 9 months now, going into 10 months, where the Senate has not been able to get its job done. I mean, the House has passed health care repeal. The House has passed a budget. And hopefully the Senate is going to be voting on a budget this week. But if you kick anything into 2018, the likelihood of it getting done, is even more difficult. And especially considering you've got some senators who, we've seen some of those kind of more moderate senators take a step back when it comes to repeal and replace efforts on Obamacare. We've seen Senator Johnson start to talk about his own tax plan as a plan B in case, the House and Senate are not able to reconcile and work with the Trump administration's framework. So 2018 is not realistic. And I think Americans will hold Senator McConnell accountable for all those missed opportunities, probably failed opportunities, to get some real relief to Americans and to really deal with the issues that have been left behind from President Obama.
Well, the fear, of course, is that if they're holding McConnell liable for this, they're going to hold the candidates that he's supporting in these key states liable, and that means that the Republicans could lose power. It's going to be a long, drawn-out fight. Patrice, thank you very much for being here this morning.
Sure, thank you.
Good to see you.